Hey everyone, and welcome to my walkthrough for Phase 5 of the Omega Protocol Ultimate. In this one, our final goal of this phase is going to be having every party member end the phase with 3 Dynamis stacks. Dynamis stacks can be obtained by doing the Hello World mechanic that is going to be coming back a couple times during the next 3 major mechanics. Outside of that, we also want to be ending this phase with a Limit Break 3. If you don't have Limit Break 3, you can't survive the first mechanic of Phase 6, so it's important that you don't Limit Break during this phase. There is one mechanic where I will recommend you to use a tank LB for progression's sake, but if you're looking to clear the phase, then of course you can't use that one. So, to start off Phase 5, we have Omega M, who is going to be starting off with a Tank Buster Solar Ray. This one we've seen before. Will apply a Magic Vuln onto your tank, and it will also hit twice. So either you need to use a tank invuln or you need to use a tank swap. There's 4 tank busters in total, so the way how we did it is the first one is invulned, the second one is cooldowned, third one is invulned, and the fourth one is cooldowned again. And then we go into Run Dynamis, the Delta version. This is a heavy hitting raid-wide AoE, so make sure that you put up some mitigation for this. So, then we have a couple of things spawning on the map. We're going to be having the Final Omega and Beetle Omega spawn on the opposite sides of each other, and they will always spawn on the cardinals. And we also have the Eye that is going to be shooting a laser beam through the middle of the map, just like in Phase 2, spawn on one of the other remaining cardinals. So in this case, you could end up either on the D marker or on the B marker, because Final Omega is on A and the Beetle is on C, which you'll see when I turn my camera. Now, together with these 2 bosses spawning as well as the Eye, we also have all of our players being tethered together with a red-green tether or a blue tether. All of our blue tethered players are going to be standing in front of Final Omega, so they're going to be moving towards A. Our red-green tethers are going to be staying in the middle of the arena, and they are going to be using the Eye as their relative north. Now, the reason why the Eye as relative north is a little bit important for our red-green players is because the north pair might have to adjust. And that is because of these gloves right here. So these gloves, in order to make them disappear and not blow up and kill the raid, they need to hit each other. And we're going to be doing that in pairs. So you can't, of course, hit your tether partner, because if we were to do that, then our close far tethers would blow up in our case, because we're a close tether. If we get close, the tether will explode and lead to a raid wipe, so that is why we're going to be jamming them together with our partners on the opposite side of the map, if you're a close tether at least, which is what I am in this case. Now, to resolve these tethers, they need to be of opposite color when they smash into each other. Now, in this case, it doesn't actually matter where me and Lily are going to be positioned, because we have the same colored fists. But let's say, for example, instead of me having a blue fist, I would have a yellow fist, and Lily would have a blue fist. Well, if I look towards Saka, who is my partner that I will be stacking with over here, he has a yellow fist. So yellow on yellow means shit goes boom, so you can't have that happen. So that means that I need to swap with Lily. It's also possible that Saka and Aurora would swap instead, but that is why we use our priority that the tether pair closest to the Eye is the one that will adjust in case the gloves are of the wrong color. In this case, that's not true, so that is why we do not need to adjust in this POV. So I'm going to be running towards my marker, Lily is going to run towards hers, and then we stack together. We always did this northwest, southeast relative towards where we are looking at the Eye, so the 1 and 3 markers in this case. Us stacking together like this is going to make it so that when these fists bait onto us, they will just smash into each other and cancel each other out. While we move into position like this, we're also going to have a bunch of spinnies spawn around the edge of the arena. These are gloves that will bait a laser beam to the closest player next to them, and then it's going to rotate depending on where the arrows are pointing. So it's actually really simple. You just stand next to it to make sure that the laser beam points outside of the arena and then also spins to the outside of the arena. Don't really think that needs much more explanation over there. Now, the first thing that's going to happen here is a patch is going to blow up. Now, a patch are these close far tethers. One of the blue pairs is going to be breaking theirs immediately as soon as they lock in to get rid of their tether as soon as possible. So the very first instance of damage, you need to be very careful that you don't get baited by it. Can't tell you how many times we've had the patch tether break and somebody run away for their mechanic before the fists even baited onto them. because as you can see right here, patch goes off and then the AoEs appear. And this is also when the laser beam from the eye comes through the middle of the arena. Basically, just stand in your safe spot and wait for the yellow puddles underneath your feet to appear. Then, as soon as you see the yellow puddles appear, everybody moves into position for their mechanic, which is going to be baiting these fists for 6 players, and 2 blue players stay in the middle of the arena, but I'll talk about what the blue players have to do a little bit later. Then, after these are baited, our green tethered players want to stay on the outside of the arena as much as possible, because they are going to be getting hit by monitors. 1 monitor is going to come from the final Omega, 1 monitor is going to be coming from a blue tethered player. So both me and Lily are getting hit by final Omega's monitor, and then the players on the other side are getting hit by the player monitor. So it's very important that this player looks at final Omega to identify which side of the arena he has to hit with the monitor. After this is done, we look towards Omega Beetle to see where these lights are going to be, because this signifies which side of the arena he is going to be cleaving with a gigantic AoE. Now this is important to know for the green tethered players, because the ones that are coming on the side that is about to become an AoE, they are going to be breaking their tether. So because I was on this side, me and Lily are going to be breaking our tethers right here as soon as Twice Comes Ruin drops. And then we go line up for Hello World. Now, as I mentioned before, you need Dynamis stacks at the end of this mechanic. Well, the way how you get these Dynamis stacks is by being part of a Hello World mechanic. Now, 2 of the blue tethered players will be targeted with a Hello Near and a Hello Far debuff. And those are the big explosions that you can see right here. The debuffs look like this. Hello Far is a blue one with a large arrow, and the Hello Near is a green one with a tiny arrow. The way how these work is very simple. Hello Near is going to be bouncing to the closest player to the origin point, and then bounce a second time to the closest player of the first target. Hello Far is the complete opposite. It's going to jump to the furthest player away, and then the second jump will go to the furthest player away again. I'll show you in the blue tether examples how we exactly line up for this Hello World, because it's going to be a much clearer point of view than what you are seeing right here. But that is basically what is happening right here. We're dodging the laser beam, and then the Hello Worlds are going to be jumping between players, which are these arrows and AoEs that you can see. As soon as all of the magic vulnerabilities have dropped, you can also break the final tether. So number 2. I am a green tether again. Look where the eye is. So in this case, if the gloves that were about to spawn were mismatched colors, or well, same colors actually, then Velox and Aurora, the ones that are standing over here, would be the ones to adjust. But as the fists spawn, you can see that our colors are opposite, so we don't have to swap at all. I'm gonna run to 2, northwest. Aurora is going to run to southeast, because those are our predetermined positions. This also means that when I go and bait my spinny, that I'm gonna run back to 1, because that was my initial starting position. Don't get baited by patch, wait for the AoEs to appear, and then go and bait your glove to the outside of the arena. As soon as the AoEs lock in, you can move away, and then try and stay as far on the outside as possible to not accidentally hit players with the monitor AoEs, because it's actually really easy to hit players with the monitor AoEs. Again, look at Omega Beetle to see which side is exploding. This time it's the opposite side, so I'm not going to be breaking my tether just yet. I'm going to stay on the outside of the arena. And then we have the Hello Worlds bouncing around. We wait for the magic foam to drop. As soon as the magic foam drops, we break our tether. If you don't break the tether before it expires, it's also going to be a raid wipe, by the way. Or a raid wipe, rather. So this time around I am a blue tether, so I'm going to the final Omega. Now when it comes down to our blue tethers, if there is a healer that is a blue tether, we always gave them priority to break their tether first, because the ones that break their tether first will end up in the middle of the arena. So that made it a little bit easier for us to heal this mechanic, because if the healers are on the outside of the arena or running around doing stuff, it's a little bit hard to heal people up. So that's why we always gave them priority to end up in the middle of the arena, which is also going to mean that I actually don't have a POV of ending up on the edge of the arena, but you'll be able to see it just fine what needs to happen for those players. So as a blue tether pair, you're going to be positioning yourself like this. So if any swaps with these fists need to happen, it's going to be the inner pair that will swap around, but as you can see, they both have the blue hands, me and my partner have the yellow hands, so no swaps need to happen right there. Now, as soon as patch goes out, which is going to happen in just a few seconds once our tethers lock in, both me and my partner need to run quickly to our stack partners right here before the AoEs appear. These are the only two people that should move when the patch goes out. Everybody else needs to wait for their puddles to appear. Now, as soon as these puddles appear right here, me and my partner will run to the middle of the arena, but the other two, the close tether pair, they are now going to run north and south to bait the middle spinny thing. So as you can see, they break their tether right here, because this will again resolve a second tether automatically, and they are going to be baiting their tether to the outside of the arena. Now, when it comes down to the two players that are remaining here in the middle, they need to be spread away from each other because we have Beyond Defense being cast by Omega M. Exact same thing that he did in Phase 2. So one of our two players in the middle is going to be hit by this, it's me. That means that I need to move away for when Omega M now follows this up with Pile Pitch, which is going to be a group stack, again, baited on one of the two closest players. So that means that I'm going to be running away. Now, I also need to look towards Final Omega. I'm going to rewind real quick so you can see it a little bit better. So I get my Beyond Defense right here. I look towards Final Omega. You can see that the monitors are on the right side of the screen. So that means I'm going to be staying on the left side of the map. And then I also want to be between this line as well, because these two players need to get hit by the monitor. I don't want to get hit by a monitor. So that is why I'm standing between the middle of the arena and between the monitor being pointed outwards of this player right here. So the players here on the right will be hit by the monitor from Final Omega. The players on the left will be hit by our player monitor. And then these three people will also get hit by Pile Pitch right here. After this is done, the blue players need to now look if they have the Hello Near or Hello Far. In this case, I have a Hello Far debuff. So we are now going to be looking towards Omega Beetle. You can see that the left side is going to be cleaved, so we're all moving towards the right side. We have then the left side green tether breaking right here. And then we are positioning for Hello World. So this is how we are going to be lining up for the Hello Worlds. The Hello Far is going to be starting far away from Omega Beetle. The Hello Near is going to start near Omega Beetle. So it's really easy to remember it that way. What is going to be happening is my Hello Far is going to be jumping to the furthest player away from me, which is going to be the blue tethered player underneath the Beetle. It is then going to jump a second time to the furthest player, which is going to be Rijo over here, the other green tethered player. When it comes down to the Hello Near, it's going to do the exact opposite. It's going to jump from Evray right here to the closest player, which will be Aurora, will then jump to the closest player, which will be Kosh. So those 6 players are going to be part of the Hello World. The other 2 blue tethered players that do not have a Hello World, they're going to be standing right here and they just will not get hit by it. It's very important that these 2 players are closer to each other than that this player is to one of these 2 players, because it is possible for it to jump over here. If it hits both players, then, well, you're kind of dead, so you don't want to do that. So first AoE goes out, they jump once, so furthest, closest, and then they jump again, closest, furthest, and that's the end of the mechanic. Or, well, we need to wait for the magic phone to drop, and then we break our final tether right here. And as you can see, the tether was not broken in time, which meant that we were going to wipe. So I'm going to show it one more time. Again, because I'm a healer, I get priority on the outside. We just chill right here, wait for our fists. As you can see, no adjustments need to be made because yellow fist is going to hit blue fist. I'm going to press sprint around the time that the gloves spawn. As soon as patch goes out, I move to my partner. AoEs go out, I move to the middle. Make sure that you're away from each other so you don't hit each other. My partner gets hit by the Beyond Defense. That means that I need to stay close to the middle for Pile Pitch. I look towards Final Omega to see where the screens are. Gonna move to the other side of the arena where the screens are. And then I am staying between the middle of the arena and then also the line over here that is being pointed outwards for the monitors on the left side. That goes out. I look if I have hello near or hello far. I look towards Omega Beetle where I'm gonna go. So we're going to the left of Omega Beetle because the right side has the lights. And I also have hello near. So that means that I am staying near Omega Beetle. A little bit over from the fidget spinner. And then we have our hello worlds resolving right here. Wait for the magic wand to drop and then break the final tether. So at the end of this mechanic, your party list should look something like this, where you have 6 players with 1 stack of Dynamis and 2 players without a stack of Dynamis. It's very important that you look at your party list when we go into the next mechanic, because we're actually going to have to do something based on who has Dynamis and who has not. But it's really simple, so don't worry about it too much. So after we are done with the first trio, we are getting our second tank buster. So we have Soul Array again. This one we are cooldowning. So we're just going to be doing a tank swap. Make sure that you're not stacked close to your tanks, because you will die. The tank buster will one-shot you. And then we go into the second run Dynamis Sigma version this time. Again, big rate-wide damage. And then we're getting a lot of things. So we're getting our PlayStation markers again. We see 2 gloves spawning right here that will tether to the furthest players. And we're also getting a near or far debuff, the remote glitch and the mid glitch from phase 2. Now, when it comes down to the strat that my group decided on using, is that we do not actually have to care about our markers at all. Now, our initial lineup, I guess you could say, for the first half of this mechanic is a little bit more complicated and requires a bit more brain power than the other strats out there, like if you follow a macro or something based on your number or like position in the line and such, but it does make the second part of this mechanic really easy. So our markers, the BPOG, we're just going to be lining up like this again, and then we just go to do the mechanic based on that. Now, for this mechanic, we are basically going to have 6 players receive a marker, 2 players will not, and it will always be based on your pairs. So I'm just going to wait for them to appear right here. You can see that 2 pairs have 2 markers, and we have 2 pairs with only 1 marker in them. Now, when it comes down to how we ended up resolving this mechanic, is that the players on the bottom line, they are our anchors. The players on the top line, they are our flexors. Now, the only thing that's important here is if a player without a marker spawns on the top line, they need to swap with their partner, because the non-marked player will always be an anchor for this mechanic. Now, I have a couple of pictures over here that are very beautifully photoshopped. This is kind of what it looks like. So we have our 2 gloves spawning randomly on the map, but we're going to be facing them, and this will become our relative north. We then line up with our BPOG, blue, purple, orange, or red in this case, and then green, and this is going to be our line. Now, I'm going to be kind of assuming that our top players all get markers, and on our bottom players, the 2 inner ones don't get a marker. So that's kind of like how I made these pictures. Now, our very first thing that we're going to be doing is our anchor positions. So these are very easy to explain because these will always remain the same, regardless of if it's close or far. It looks like this. So the furthest on the left anchor player is going to go to the northwest, staying closer to west. Same thing for the other player on the right. So the rightmost double marker pair, the anchor, is going to go northeast, closer to east. When it comes down to our non-marker pair, or the one marker pair, I guess you could say, their anchor is going to go southeast and southwest. And then of course the leftmost goes left, rightmost goes right. So those are our positions for our anchors. This remains the same regardless of close or far. Now in the second picture you can see our configuration for close tether. So this is going to be that your flex players stay in the same half of the arena as your anchor. So as you can see, these players are all in the north side of the arena. These players all stay in the south side of the arena. And you just go one pizza slice over from your anchor player. If it is mid glitch, they stay kind of in the middle of the arena. You can see it very clearly on my POV as well. They're going to be standing in between the 2 markers, but basically just go as far as you need to go until your tether breaks. Also, something I forgot to mention, I think, is that the anchor players should always be at the wall. It's the flex players that need to adjust if they're at the wall, yes or no. When it then comes down to the far pattern, it's much simpler. You just go opposite of your partner. So as you can see, blue here, opposite over here, red, red, purple, purple, and then green. Now, the only thing that's important here for the far pattern is that the players that are staying on the south side, the flex players that is, they do not go all the way to the wall. As you can see, they're a little bit in, and again, you'll see it on the POV later as well. The reason why that's important is because these gloves tether to the furthest player away and shoot a laser beam at them. Now, the laser beam, as well as all the individual markers, give a magic vuln up. So that is why our non-market players are taking the south positions furthest away from the gloves so that they get targeted by that laser, because otherwise someone will get a cleave from Final Omega because they had a marker, and they'll get cleaved by the laser beam of the glove, and that means that they're going to be dying, and then it's game over for this mechanic. So that's why we end up spreading like this. So that's kind of the explanation out of the way. Now, I do know that this strat is probably a little bit harder to kind of wrap your head around than, and also to execute, than some other strats might be, but the payoff is really nice for it. So in this case, I am going to be an anchored player because I am on the bottom row of the map. I am also the leftmost double pair, so that means I'm going to go northwest. So as soon as I see this, I'm going to go northwest. Now, it is also the mid glitch, so that means that my partner is running with me to the north side, one pizza slice over. And then these are our positions. You actually have a lot of time to position for this as well. And then we of course have our anchors all at the wall, and then our flex players are towards the middle of the arena, as you can see, kind of standing in between these two markers. After this goes off, all of the marked players get a wave cannon laser beam, which is like a pizza slice, and then we have our non-marked players getting the laser beams from the gloves. Now, as we move inwards to the arena, we're going to be seeing that a bunch of towers are spawning. Now, the towers have different spawn positions, and also the amount of towers that spawn is different depending if it is mid glitch or far glitch. The beautiful thing about this strat is that you don't have to care about where the towers spawn and how many spawn, because everything is based on where you have your initial position, like we're coming from right now. So the way how this works is on a priority based system. The only thing you have to pay attention to is your pizza slice. My pizza slice is the C and the 3 marker. If there is a tower directly behind me, like it is right now, that tower is mine. If there is only one tower in my pizza slice, which is going to be either behind me on the C marker or on the 3 marker, that becomes my tower. If there are 2 towers in my pizza slice, so one on 3 and on C, I need to jump into the one that has 2 light bulbs rotating around it. If I do not have a tower in my pizza slice, so not behind me, not on C, not on 3, I need to go to the opposite side of the arena. So the way how you can see if it's a 1 or a 2 tower, the one behind me is a 2 tower, because you can see 1 light bulb right here, 1 light bulb right here, and then you can see the one here on the left only has 1 light bulb, so that's a solo tower. So in this case, because the tower is behind me, don't have to care about it, that's mine. Now, for example, Evray right here, he came from between A and 1, he doesn't have a tower in his pizza slice, so he is going to be going opposite of the map and taking the tower with me. Run middle for heals and shields, and then you get knocked back by female spawning. And because it was the mid glitch, we also stand in the middle of our tower. So that's the end of part 1. Once you've done this, run middle for heals and shields, and then reorient yourself to Omega Female. She becomes our relative north. Now, for this second part of the mechanic, 3 players need to go north, 5 players need to go south, and the players that go north all need to have a Dynamis stack. The reason why we do that is because the players on north, there's only going to be 1 person in there that will receive a Dynamis stack. Everybody that stays on the south side of the map will receive a Dynamis stack. We need to end this mechanic with everybody in the party having at least 1 stack. So that is why we send people with 1 stack north, because if everybody is south, we'll get 1 from this mechanic. So in this case, because I'm kind of high in the priority list, I'm gonna end up north quite a bit in the POVs that you will see, but I'll also show you one where I am staying on the south side. So right here we call out our 3 players with 1 Dynamis stack that are going to go to the north side, which in my case are going to be me, Rijo and Lily. The reason why Aurora is not coming with us, even if he had one, is because he has a Hello World. The Hello World players also need to stay at the south side. So what we're then going to do is we're going to be making a conga line, and then we're going to position ourselves next to the rotating laser beam. The laser beam was doing its little spinny thing again. I'll just rewind real quick so you can see it. It's spinning clockwise, so that means that we're going to go to this side. And then female, while this laser beam is going off, is also going to do a mechanic from phase 2. So she's either going to be doing the plus AoE, like she is going to do right now, because her blade legs aren't there, or she's going to do the inside save. The way how we call this out is a wait pattern or a follow pattern. This one, the plus, is the wait pattern, because you literally just wait until the AoE goes off. The follow pattern, you just chase the laser beam until she does her mechanic. So we've done our positioning right here. I am the rightmost player over here. It's wait pattern, so I'm literally just gonna wait for the plus to resolve. And then we go and position. The leftmost player runs to the next marker. The middle player stays on the marker. And then I'm gonna go back to the previous marker as soon as the laser beam finishes rotating around. And then we position like so. I'm actually gonna try and pause it a little bit better so that you can see our positioning for the Hello Worlds better as well. I also highly recommend that the players coming from the south side of the arena, that they save their sprint for this if you are one of these 3 players, because they you don't really need sprint, but it's highly recommended that you do. Now, what is going to happen right here is both me and Rijo are tethered to the gloves, so we get a magic vuln-up from the gloves laser beam hitting us. We have Velox over here, you can't really see him, but you can see the little red dot on the screen. He is the Hello Far, so his Hello Far is going to jump towards Lily, is then going to jump towards whoever is standing behind him over there, can't really see it on my screen. Then the Hello Near is going to be over here on Aurora, and that's going to be jumping to Kosh and Velox, who are standing next to this fidget spinner, as you can see right here. So Evray is over there behind the Hello World. Make sure you're standing close enough into the arena as to not hit the players at the edge of the arena, and then it's just going to be bouncing around right here. So I get the laser beams, the Hello Worlds jump around, and that is the end of the mechanic. So I'm going to show you a couple more times so you can see a few examples. So locate where the gloves are, position yourself in the line for the gloves. We have mid glitch again, so that's the close one. This time around, I am paired together with someone that does not have a marker, so that means that he is going to be taking the leftmost position on the south side of the arena, because we are the leftmost pair. Because it's mid glitch, I'm going to stay in the same side of the arena and move 1 pizza slice over, and I'm standing kind of in between our 2 markers. You could be on this one, you could be on this one. Just make sure that your vulnerability drops and you're going to be fine. Then the laser beams go out. I wait to see if I have a tower or not. Tower spawns directly behind me. That is my tower. Move back into the middle for heals and shields. Get knocked back. And remain in the middle of your tower because it was the mid glitch. Again, call out which 3 players with 1 Dynamis stack are going to move north. Form your conga lines. It's going to be wait pattern again, because she does not have the blade legs, so just chill out. Wait for the AoE to appear. As soon as the AoE goes off, everybody moves into their positions. And then we have our laser beams coming out from the gloves and the Hello Worlds resolving. Now, Rijo ended up dying here because Lily was in the wrong position, but she was supposed to be here next to Velox, and then the second Hello World jump would have gone to her instead of back to Rijo. So that's what ended up going wrong in that pull. This time around, I am one of the middle people. The ones on the outside have an easier job, the ones on the bottom row have an easier job as well. So if you have players that are really proficient at this mechanic, always let them take the north spot if they are paired together with someone that is not that good at it. Something that you can also do, because we don't care about markers, is to give a pair the outside priority as well. But it's a bunch of extra movement that you need to do, so just learning the strat is the better thing in my opinion. So over here again, I am going to be the rightmost anchor for the double pair, because the other double pair spawned on my left side, so that means I am going northwest. And because it is far, everybody is going opposite this time. Now, as you can see, the players that are staying in the south side, the flexer, is not at the wall. This is to not accidentally bait one of the gloves. So that is why she's standing 1 ring towards the inside of the arena, so that this laser beam right here does not go onto her. Again, wait to see for your pizza slice. No tower behind me, but there is a tower on my pizza slice because the B marker is part of my pizza, so I'm gonna be taking the B marker tower. Again, go middle, heal and shield, knockback. This time we stretch our tethers as far as we can because it was the far pattern. And then yet again, just like before, look at female, 3 players with 1 Dynamis stack and no Hello Worlds. Go north, form your conga line. It is the wait pattern again, so that is why we are waiting. And then we run into our positions again. As soon as the laser beam is done rotating around. And then the Hello Worlds go off. Far one jumps far, close one jumps close. And then one last example. I'm in the middle again. We wait for our markers to appear. There we go. I am the rightmost 1 tether pair, or like 1 marker pair, so I'm going to be standing over here on the southeast. It's going to be close, so we stay in the same half of the arena as our anchor players. There we go. Wait for the towers to appear. There is a tower right behind me, so that is going to be my tower. Don't have to care about anything else. Middle for heals and shields. Middle of the tower because it was mid glitch. Look at the party list. 3 players with 1 Dynamis stack go north. Everybody else south. Now when it comes down to our south lineup, we did 2 things. First thing is that our 2 Hello World players do not partake in the conga line, and we also mark ourselves. Now you don't really need to mark yourself over here, but this was just to add extra clarity. Everybody has their own personal macro to mark themselves. So that they can see who is the Hello World. This is more important for the next mechanic that we're going to be taking a look at, but for this one it could be quite useful. So we know where they are going. This is the follow pattern, by the way, so as you can see we're just chasing the AoE. And as soon as it's done I press sprint and I start running. So our Hello Far is going to stand over here, the other player stays at the back, the Hello Near is going to go 90 degrees across. So I'm going to be standing in front of this marker, and then the Hello Near takers are standing behind me. So once that is done, your party list should look something like this, which is where everybody has at least 1 stack and 4 players also have 2 stacks. And that's going to be important for our final mechanic. So here we have Soul Array, again double tank buster, invuln or tank swap. Oh, actually, now that I think about it, our marking ourselves, we ended up changing that for the final mechanic. So that's actually not really a necessary macro anymore for our strat at least. So raid wide AoE just like before, but this time the boss stays targetable. This is also a 2-minute window for your DPS buffs, so make sure that you keep hitting the boss here, kind of important. And also make sure that you pay close attention to your main tank's HP, because her auto attacks will chunk the hell out of your tank, so give them a lot of mitigation to make sure that they live. So over here we're going to have Final Omega spawning. He's going to be doing laser beam cleaves, and the safe spots will either be front, back or the sides of his hitbox. He's always going to be starting to facing towards the north side of the arena. We then also have 2 sets of male and female spawning that are going to be doing the same mechanic from phase 2, the very first mechanic over there, where they're going to be doing their shield, blades, plus inside safe, outside safe AoEs. So you've seen these plenty of times, so I shouldn't have to explain those anymore. The way how this is going to work is the first pair that spawns in, which are these 2, are going to do their mechanic first, and then we have the second pair that spawns in right here that will do their mechanic second. So the first thing that we have was inside safe underneath Omega M. We then wait to see where our final Omega is going to give his safe spot. So our safe spot currently could be the C marker or the D marker, because we're waiting to see if sides or front are going to be safe. In this case, front and back are safe, so we are going to move towards the C marker. Kind of towards the C marker, because you also want to stay close to Omega M to make sure that you don't get hit by his outside safe mechanic. And then you can see right here, tiny safe spot. Now our second one is going to be inside safe on Omega M, and Omega F is doing her plus AoE. So that means sides. Now when it is sides, the front of our markers are going to be safe. Now, because of this dodge, it's always going to be a 90-degree dodge, because first he does front back, then he does sides, or the other way around, which is a 90-degree change in the AoE over here. So that is why we go from the C marker to our D marker. Technically, A could have also been safe if his laser beams were pointed the other way around, but they are not. So we're going to stand in front of D, and then you can see plus AoE inside save, and then our laser beams coming from Omega final version. After this is done, you can see some markers on our players. We're also getting 2 players called out to take monitors, and then everybody else is going to do hello worlds and such. Now I'm going to let it play out first, then I'll explain our reasoning behind everything. So over here, we have 2 players take the monitors. You'll see every run back. Then we have our 2 hello worlds on the inside of the arena. Hello near are standing opposite of the monitor, and then we have 2 hello far takers that are standing north and south. And that's the first part of this mechanic. The second part we resolve with a conga line, where we have 2 players take our tethers over here. The players that are jumping are spreading out, and then we have the 2 hello world players staying near in the arena again. There's a lot of time to adjust for this, and so that's why we don't have to do anything special for this. Now, how does our priority system work for this? Now, as soon as the boss does her mechanic, so she does her raid-wide mechanic over here, and then right after this, we get all of our debuffs. Now, the only important thing here is that you have 2 monitors takers. Those are the 2 most important players. Because my group had trouble doing the conga line and then move out for Hello World, for your priority system, we ended up marking players. So our initial thing that we ended up doing was our Hello World players mark themselves with their individual macros, and then the other 4 players line up to see where they're gonna go. Do they go north, do they go south, or do they go east or west, depending on where the monitor site is going to be. Because we had a lot of trouble doing that in a timely manner, we also had a second player mark 2 players with a 1 and a 2 marker, and they are going to go north and south respectively. Now the boss is always going to be facing north here, so the monitor will always be east or south side of the arena, exactly the same as in phase 3. So that is why if you get a 1 marker, you just go to the A marker. If you get a 2 on top of your head, you go to the C marker. So that is completely fixed. The only thing that changes if you need to stand left or right side of the marker. When it comes down to our priority for this, we were able to do it because you need a player with 2 Dynamis stacks to take a monitor, and you can always assign a player with 1 Dynamis stack to take one of the Hello Far worlds. So that is why 2 different players were able to assign positions for this mechanic for the entire group. So when it comes down to our monitor players, this is the important one. If you don't want to mark players, then don't do it. But when it comes down to calling out monitors, that one I would 100% recommend to give to someone that can do it, because it's going to save a lot of pulls. So the priority for taking a monitor is as follows. The player needs to have 2 Dynamis stacks, so there's only 4 players that you can look at. Together with that, if that player has a Hello World 2 debuff, they are guaranteed to take monitor, because it means that they're going to get their 3rd Dynamis stack from the 2nd Hello World, because they are the starting point of the Hello World. If you have a player with 2 Dynamis stacks and nothing else, they're a flex player. If you have a player with 2 Dynamis stacks and a Hello World 1, they can't take it because they need to be part of the first Hello World. So when we look at our first pull right here, you can see that Lily has 2 Dynamis stacks and is Hello World 2, so she's taking a monitor. We also have Evray, who has 2 Dynamis stacks and is Hello World 2, so he is going to be taking monitor as well. Everybody else is going to be doing the Hello World. When it then comes down to our second player, the one that is putting the markers on players, he's going to be looking at the Dynamis 1 stack players, which are again 4 players. So if they have a 1 Dynamis stack and Hello World 1, they can't be north or south because they have to be in a predetermined position. If they have 1 Dynamis stack and nothing, they're a flex player. If they have 1 Dynamis stack and Hello World 2, they're a flex player as well, because they can be anywhere. So when it comes down to this, the easiest to do is to just look at 2 players that have 1 Dynamis and no debuffs at all, so because that will always end up working. But if you only have one of those players, because again it's completely random, then you can assign someone that has 1 Dynamis stack and a Hello World 2 debuff. So that's kind of how we ended up doing it right here. So right now those two players are looking in the party list as we call out the save spots, and as you can see the 1 and 2 marker appear on our heads. Then we end up doing our first dodge right here, so dodge 1, then dodge 2, and at the end of this dodge we call out the 2 players that are going to be taking the monitors. So because I have a 2 marker, I know I need to go to C. I see the monitor on my left side, so I'm gonna stand on the right side of C. Then we have our Hello Far World origin point. He is going to start either south or north, doesn't matter where he begins, it's all fine. And then the Hello Near World starting position always opposite of the monitor, and then the 2 other players that know that they are part of the Hello World, but that did not get a marker on top of their head, they're going to be moving over here opposite of the marker at the wall. The way how they want to be positioned is you see this fidget spinner right here, just go 2 notches over on either side, and you're going to be fine. So Hello World goes out, jumps across, and then we go middle for heals and shields. Now for this second section, this is fixed. What needs to happen? 2 players are now going to end up with 3 Dynamis stacks. So they can't be part of the Hello World, which means that they are going to be taking these 2 tethers. They're going to be taking them to left and right, and over here you can see fidget spinner, 1, 2 notches. Between the second and the third notch is where you want to stand. And then everybody else is going to be on the south side. Now, ideally what you would do is you would press a macro so that you lose your markers over here, but you just form your conga line and you jump. You have so much time to adjust here that it all works out that way. As you can see, like I'm gonna run middle right here, and then I don't know who's part of the Hello World yet, so we're just jumping. I see 4 people jump. I know those are the 4 people that I'm looking towards. Technically, Kosh should have been on the left side of me here, but again, as I said, there is so much time to adjust here. As you can see, even Lily was told to go to a different place, and we still made it just fine. Now, in the second example, I can't actually show you the second part of this mechanic, because this was the scuffed pull where Rijo ended up dying during the Sigma trio, but I'll still show you the dodges. So for this one, it's going to be plus from female. That means that we are starting underneath male, and it's going to be either A or C, because again, when it is the sides save, but inside male, we need to go in front of one of the 2 markers next to him. So we're waiting for Omega to do his laser beam. As you can see, he's cleaving A to C, or well, A to C are the save spots. So we stand in front of A, look towards where the second save spot's gonna be, outside, outside. You can dodge this on the female if you want to do so, but it's much tighter, so you always want to try and move towards the male, because that makes it much easier. Double outside save, and then he's going to be cleaving towards AC, so the save spots will be BD, so that means that we just rotate towards the B marker, and then if we stand between B and 2, kind of, we're going to be safe. So we wait for the first AoEs to go off. We move over here. Oh, actually, you want to be between B and 1, because B and 2 would be a little bit too close. And then that is done. And then we'll do it one more time. This time I'll show you the whole mechanic again. So this is going to be inside on male, inside female. So we're going to go to the male again. D or C are our starting positions. It's going to be C again. And I'm getting the same pattern 3 times here. And then we have outside save for male, inside save for female. So we're going from the C marker to the D marker again. Because just like before, you want to do a 90-degree dodge. So first AoE goes out, we move over, and then we get our second AoE right here. And then again, 2 players are getting called out for monitors, 2 players are marked. So again, just like last time, let's take a look at our party list. So when it comes down to our monitors, we are looking at the players with 2 Dynamis stacks. And as it just happens, we have 2 players with 2 Dynamis stacks and Hello World 2. Again, that's the highest priority you can get. So in this case, Rijo and Velox are going to be taking our monitors. We're then looking at our 1 Hello World players, the ones that will be doing the north and south taking of Hello Far. And you can see that both me and Lily only have 1 stack and nothing else. So we are going to be taking north and south. When it comes down to me personally as a player, I see a 2 on top of my head. So I am moving towards C. Then you can see that we over here have 2 players on the monitors. We have Hello Far, Hello Near. I am here, Lily is north. And then we have our 2 Hello Near takers. Goes out. Players with 3 Dynamis stacks now go towards Omega Beetle to pick up the tethers, heal and shields, jump in the conga line. As you can see, Velox marked himself with his marker over here. And then we all move into position. So as you can see, fidget spinner a little bit over, he's moving over. We have our hello far world over here, hello near world over here. So this one is gonna jump over here and then back. And then the middle one is gonna jump to me and Lily. And that is going to be the end of this mechanic. Once this is done, everybody should have 3 Dynamis stacks. And then you want to heal up your tanks, because your tanks are going to be taking another tank buster right here. And we ended up using our cooldowns for this one. And then you will also end up getting your limit break 3 around this time as well. All that remains to be done here is to bring Omega F below 20% HP before Blind Fate finishes casting. And also put up some light mitigation, because it does still do damage. And once you've done that, you want to look towards A, or the north side of the arena with your camera, so that you actually get your camera to point towards north as well when you respawn on the final phase, or when you come out of the cutscene rather. Because if you're looking in a weird direction, then your camera is going to be in that weird direction again as well. So that's why you want to look towards the north side. But that is going to be doing it for phase 5. If you have any more questions about it, then feel free to leave a comment down below. And I'll definitely get back to you. But for now, I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for their support. And I'll see you in the next one.